To say that this thing is cutting edge would be a gross understatement. This is Care Project, apparently, and it is demo 001 of something that absolutely blew my freaking mind. So inside this box, we've got a bunch of accessories and stuff, and this. Now, it doesn't really look like much, but what it is it is a super thin external monitor. Pretty thin, right? Oh, wait. Bam! This is the thinnest external monitor in the world. This is the thinnest in the world, right? And we are gonna check it out. Oh, and did I mention that it's like just over 200 bucks? Weighs like nothing. You know what else weighs nothing? This segue to our sponsor, CableMod. CableMod has added even more flair to your custom build with their colored aluminum combs. Click the link below to add them to your order in their configurator to spice up your PC. Okay, so come on in here. Let's have a look at this thing. Like, how on earth do you build a display that is this freaking thin? I mean, I guess if you think about it, you know, the display that's built into something like, you know, your smartphone or even something like, oh yeah, here we go, even something like a laptop is honestly probably not a lot thicker or maybe even thinner. But for some reason, nobody has ever done something like this in an external monitor. I mean, especially the part at the top, like that has to be just the thickness of a panel, which means that quite a few of the other components of a display look like they've had to be externalized. Now, if this was an OLED, we've actually seen TVs that have a design kind of like this, where they're thicker at the bottom, and then they're basically just the thickness of a piece of glass with an OLED panel on the front of it. But it's not, it's an LCD. So that would explain, well, one of the reasons why the bottom has to be a little bit thicker. So what we're clearly looking at is the actual LCD film itself here and some kind of light diffusing layer on the back at a minimum. There's other components as well. Then we've got some kind of light source, so it's actually edge lit from the bottom up. Once we fire it up, we're gonna wanna take a look at what the uniformity looks like to see if we've got hot spots along the bottom. One of the other things that's noteworthy about this is many external monitors include a battery, so you can run them just when you're on an airplane or whatever else. But this one clearly doesn't. Like, there's just no possible room for a battery inside this display, and the thing is shockingly light. Like, I would imagine if it had a battery in it, it would have to be quite a bit heavier. I actually brought along a scale for y'all here. So let's go ahead and tear this, throw our panel on there. It is just over 200 grams. That is about half a pound for our American friends. Unfreaking real. One of their pitches is that you can like prop it up on a handheld controller in game like that. Not 100% sure about that. We're definitely gonna try that later. For now, I wanna take a closer look at some of the accessories because some of them, under normal circumstances, wouldn't even be considered accessories. First, we've got a USB Type-C cable. So that is one of the only things that's actually present on this bottom I/O module here, a USB Type-C port. On the other side, we've got this rocker switch button that we actually aren't sure what it does. So then, one of the things that had to be externalized is, of course, the power supply and I/O. Normally, you'd have a thicker monitor and you'd have room inside for these components here. Now, C-Force says that you can actually run it just like this, but the kit that we've got comes with this external hub that allows for more I/O options. Anything we'll be connecting it to will be using this hub. So there's our display inputs. We've got Type-C as well as HDMI. It apparently has a built-in USB hub, so that's pretty cool, headphone jack and all that. And there's your power in as well as your output to the monitor itself. It's also available with a bunch of different mount options that we can check out in a bit more detail later, because I want to focus on the mount that I think most people are most likely to use, which is this kind of sleeve, like tablet sleeve style mount. So let's go ahead and pop this in. One thing of note, guys, is that they've got kind of this carbon fiber finish on it, and it's light enough that honestly, I think I probably believe it. But we actually dinged this corner of it. You can see that there's some exposed, kind of like a low luster metal here. So it looks like it's either aluminum or magnesium or some alloy of the two that's giving it its light weight. It does not appear to be actual carbon fiber. Additionally, there are clear machining marks in this piece here. So this also seems to have a metal backing. Obviously, at this kind of thickness, the screen's a little bit on the flimsy side, but to their credit, the bottom piece is shockingly robust. So that's pretty neat. The way that it sets up is a little something like that. So you're counting on like kind of your magnet to hold it in place there, it seems. Not the most amazing mounting mechanism. I actually kind of like it better just out flat this way. So then you can use the grooves from the folds to sort of, yeah, it's not perfect. I mean, it is a prototype in fairness, but I don't know that they will improve these elements of it. So now we're at the point where it's time to kind of have some fun with this thing. So we're gonna start by just trying to go straight USB Type-C into USB Type-C from this Predator gaming laptop. Is this thing working? Hello? There we go. Helps when you turn the power button on. Now that's curious. It detects a secondary display, but we're not actually getting any output here. Okay, so phase 2. We're gonna try using the CF120 central hub. So we've got a nice high quality cable here. Put that in the input side. I'm not actually expecting this to work. Wait, what? That worked. Why? Very interesting. So apparently this is getting enough power over USB Type-C to run the hub, run the display, and also power the apparent cooling fan in here. Is there a cooling fan in this thing? That is really sharp. Check this out. This thing is 4K. All right, so that's not very ergonomic over there. Obviously, you wouldn't do something like this with it, but I'm gonna put this here for illustrative purposes. That's it, 4K display. So initial impressions, color really stands out as a strong point. I wouldn't describe it as oversaturated or anything like that. Like this is a brightly colored game. Now they claim that it's got full Adobe RGB coverage, and according to our benchmarks, that claim actually checks out. Now, one area where they don't make any claims, and probably rightly so, is when it comes to the pixel response times or ghosting. It is a bit of a smeary mess, to be perfectly honest. You can really see now that we're on the desktop, this trailing edge of this white window in the dark background is pretty darn nasty. I mean, honestly, if you're more into like perfect response times in gaming, you're gonna wanna check out the review we have of Asus's upcoming monitor that has both ELMB, so that's motion blur reduction, and variable refresh rate in the same display at the same time. That is a first, so don't miss it. For now, I think it's time to experiment a little bit more with this guy. So this worked. But not necessarily every laptop will. Compatibility on this thing has been a bit hit or miss for us. So here we're trying the exact same configuration on an LG Grams USB Type-C port and nothing. So what we found was that this device needed supplementary power from the wall. So the magic arm down there is gonna go ahead and plug that in for me. Thanks, James. And there we go. So now with supplementary power into our hub, we are running. I'm gonna let it boot up before I plug this in though. I guess while we wait, you guys can go check out lttstore.com. Awesome shirts like this one. Hey, there we go. All right. So this is more like what I would consider to be a practical application for this thing. Now, one thing they obviously have to figure out is kind of the jankiness of this Type-C connection down here. You can see there's a lot of wiggle wobble there, and you guys have seen the display flicker on and off multiple times as I've been sitting here fiddling with it. That's something that clearly can't make its way into the finished product if we were gonna recommend this thing. This is a pretty sick travel setup. A gram plus this thing, total freaking weight in your bag, basically negligible. Like, it's like half a gaming laptop of thickness. It's crazy. Well, as risky as this might be, the next thing I wanna try is with my phone. Now off camera, I tried going straight from the phone into the monitor. That did not work, but hey, look at that. This is way more promising. Boom, HDMI connected just like that. So with another 200 grams of weight, I can use Samsung's crappy browser instead of Chrome on a display this size. No, I don't want to set as the default. Why would I want to do that? Oh my God, it's got a USB hub in it. Do we have a keyboard? Let's get keyboarded up here. This is freaking awesome. Now, obviously, for the ideal experience, you wouldn't have like a freaking full-size 104 key keyboard like that. But with like a super compact or like a foldable keyboard or something, you just tie a big rubber band around that in your external display. This is a shockingly functional like coffee shop setup. Mind you, you need a power outlet. Or you could probably run it off a battery bank. Okay, so the ultimate setup continues here. We have taken the power brick out of the wall. We've got our Mophie. We're gonna plug that into our hub. Hey, there it is. Now, in fairness, we've kind of gotten to the point where you might as well just have a laptop versus this particular setup. But hey, I think we've made our point in terms of the versatility that's afforded by a super thin, super light display. And we are just getting started. This is the part of the video where things get really crazy. So this is just, it seems to be an off-the-shelf PS4 controller to phone mount. And then this is kind of a similar doodad for the Xbox One. Now, what C-Force seems to maybe have created is a GoPro mount that fits in a phone controller adapter mount. And, so weird. This bracket doodad that goes on the back of their monitor and screws in. So it appears the intent is that you put this on here. Yeah. And you hold it like this. And of course, because this is not a game console, it still needs an external signal. So you'll also need this. Now, one thing I hadn't actually noticed before until I was digging around for adapters is that they appear to be aware that this connection's a little janky. They went ahead and wrote a little note for us. Velcro fixed self-adhesive tie. This is for fixing the connector, thank you. No. That is not a solution. You guys gotta find a better one when you actually release this thing. So I guess it's, you know what, why don't we move on to the Switch one? Before we hook up our Nintendo Switch, we did get some clarification as to why this hub here requires active cooling. Most monitors include a scaler. This one has basically nothing on it. So the scaler is in here as well. So that takes the signal that's coming out of whatever device you're using, be it a laptop or a Blu-ray player or a game console or whatever the case may be, and then translates that into something that the panel that it's connected to can understand. So this is basically just a bare ass panel. So if whatever you connect it to happens to output some kind of signal that's compatible with it, then peachy keen. If not, you're gonna need one of these. All right, so we got this working. Man, I suck at this game. I don't even know how to block. So this is not a great experience for a variety of reasons. One, this mount is super stupid and gets in the way of the buttons. Two, you have a cord hanging off of it. So anytime you're gonna be like tethered to something, you might as well probably be running on your TV. But you know what? I'm sure some of you out there will see an application for this. And in fairness to the response times on this screen, they are not as bad as Windows might make it seem like they should be. And again, the colors look really good. Dang it, Cloud, just stop. I want to land my heavy attack. Just let me land the heavy attack. And we're done here. So ultimately then, that's really up to you. It's $220 while they're crowdfunding for just the display and the case/stand here. And then it's about $270 US if you also want the hub, which I would say is basically a necessity. So the drawback is that the solution is a little bit janky and you might have to DIY things a little, But the advantage is this is the only experience like this that I'm aware of. A 12.5-inch 4K display that's not much thicker than a pair of credit cards. You know what else isn't that thick? This segue. Squarespace is the place to go if you want to build your online presence quickly and affordably. Squarespace has a ton of templates spanning a large variety of categories. So if you need a website for your blog or about your wedding or your business, Squarespace has you covered. You can get a domain quickly through Squarespace if you need one, or you can port over an existing one that you already own, and you can get started and try it for free for 14 days by going to squarespace.com/LTT. And if you go to our link, you can get 10% off your first purchase. So thanks for watching, guys. Join our forum and check out where to buy this in the video description. Bye.